competition. Looking at competition makes you think about just overall.
Yeah.
Is the FGC strictly about competition, right? And obviously the answer would be no. You know,
that's true.
It would be no. But I do think there's a big conversation to be had here because for whatever reason in the FGC, I feel like content creators historically are undervalued in comparison to players. And in my opinion, it's as far as the growth of the scene, importance, and I think that for sure outside of rare cases like Daigo, Daigo is just so big that his existence is content. Right. And brings people into the FGC.
He can walk around Tokyo and stuff like that and just make 7,000, 8,000 people watching that.
Yeah, literally, yeah, walking around on his stream. You know, and Daigo even with him being that big, just as a player, still an amazing content creator, right?
Right.
But even the content creators or media personalities that don't play, like of course I do both, but even people like Saint, people like James or Ultra David and
right, the commentators and stuff like that. Now that also do content creation and stuff like that, streaming.
Ultra
and stuff.
Chin TV has their, you know, that stuff brings a lot more. I naturally want to use the word traffic, but I feel like some people in the FGC, they're as soon as you use any type of business term, they're like, what money are you doing? Like as if we're 6 years old or something like that. Right. Bro, listen, in the end of the day, a rising tide lifts all ships in this situation, to be saying. Right. And the more traffic that we drive, which is gonna happen through content, the better. So I think if there was a level of importance for things, content creators would be at the top.
They should be. I mean, if you look at what happened during COVID, do you think we would have survived the COVID era with no content creators making things and keeping people interested in video games? Do you think we would have had people interested in, this, tournament right here or whatever, if we didn't have, these clips and stuff like that showcasing this stuff? If we didn't have the high fight still going on,
Ooh,
tell me that. If we didn't have high fight still going on, how much would we see of the great things of these fighting games and, talk about it and keep the conversation going? So without content creators, we don't have conversation going. We don't have a way to push ourselves outside the FGC. And
why did we get here in the first place?
Right, we gotta tell them that.
I think the reason why we even this happened, this bad stigma or whatever in the FGC that happened with this situation is because I think at one point in the FGC, the players were the only ones eating.
Right.
And when I say eating, right, I know that it's not like anybody was, a millionaire or anything like that. And to this day, it's not like it's going like that. However, content has been rewarded, personality has been rewarded more and more in recent times. Whereas in the past, it was just, do you win the tournaments? Remember back when Echo Fox had came into the FGC?
Right, yeah.
That whole time period, Ghost, shout out to these teams and everything too. But they were throwing around a lot of money. Dang, we getting into some real convo on No Neutral today, guys.
Yeah, it's getting deep.
It is what it is. They threw around a lot of money, and their focus was simply who are the best players. That's it.
That's all they did.
They did not require streaming. Mm-hmm. They did not require YouTube videos, anything like that, right? And as far as, what happened, how it played out how you would predict. If you
played for a couple of months, you know what I'm saying?
That's not,
it's real. That's real talk, though, right?
It's just really how it went, and with a team like Optic Gaming, the OG esports org, extremely successful, based out of Texas and everything, right? I've listened to their podcast, like Hex, the person who started Optic, and they always talked about the fact that even though they have all these championships, their primary focus is content.
What's going to pull in more? Your players win every so often and stuff like that in some of the tournaments, or is it going to pull in? We going to pull in more from the content that you make on YouTube and stuff like that. Do you know the viewership and stuff? To broaden that. Now look at who's really leading these teams. I'm sorry, the content in these teams. Look who's doing that. Panda is out here rocking that stuff.
Doing a great job.
Red will be doing good stuff too.
Yeah.
So these teams.
Shout out to Equinox.
Exactly, Equinox too.
All these teams
on the real stuff.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, man. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but as far as the behind the scenes is concerned, teams generally only get like a 10% kickback from your winnings, and that's only if the winnings are over a certain amount of money, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas on the other hand, what a team is paying to send us to events, Just I don't gotta tell you the number. Just hotel, flight, round trip flight, registration. That alone is gonna cost you what? And that doesn't include if a player has a salary on top of that, which isn't extremely common, but does happen as well.
Right.
So in the end of the day, if you do win an event, you're going out there and however good you are, right? I'm gonna bring up a CPT premier event. I'm just gonna say some names.
Go ahead, do it.
Daigo.
All right.
Punk.
All right.
Historically, my boy Knuckle Dude. Let's see. I don't know. 8-1 Strider. Momochi. Problem X. Luffy. Takamura. Bonchan.
Right.
Phenom. I just had 10 people.
Yeah.
Infectious. Big Bird. Angry Bird. Bro, I'm just going off the top of my head. Hot Dog. Shao Hai. There's just so many players that are amazing and do this day in and day out, right? So the chances of it happens sometimes. We've seen Punk do it.
Right.
We've seen Takedo do it. But the buck kind of stops there in Street Fighter 5 as far as players. Bonchan had a half a year where he was winning back to back to back. But it's just extremely uncommon, and usually when a buck does roll, it stops at some point. So I just think that I bring that up to say that I don't think it's a great business model to pay people and rely on just them winning events. That's not good as far as the teams, and it's not good as far as drawing in new people. Because I tell you what, as amazed as I am, as deep into the game as I am, to the point where I can appreciate the neutral that's happening before me. There's the strategy behind it and things like that. There's things that me as a pro player that I understand. That got me in the Capcom Cup and all that. That even some people that are in the scene that love the scene may not get, because they're that are not pro players. Some do, of course, like people you study heavily, But generally speaking, there's some people who are in the scene who might not even get it that in depth. So imagine a player that's a brand new that just came across our Twitch stream that don't know nothing about Capcom Fighters, nothing like that, and just happened to be their first experience. They don't know anything about this in-depth, amazing gameplay that's going on in that spot. What they do know is this fun? And the simple concept of fun seems to be lost on the FGC so much, even to the point where as soon as someone shows a certain amount of personality or excitement or smile or makes a joke,
how dare you?
Cringe, get him off the screen. This guy's so loud. Get him off the screen. And I think that as a whole, it ends up hurting those same people more than it helps them. If we sit up here the whole time, actually saying, let's do it. Just a few seconds. We're talking about this topic. Let's do the podcast or the show in a more appropriate and less loud way.
Yes. Let's code switch. So it's one thing to think about. 99% of the people who buy these games really just being casuals.
Yes, this is very true.
Yeah.
And if you look at the statistics,
it
typically, generally speaking,
did you cite your source?
Exactly. You guys want
with that library stuff? Get that out of here.
MLA format and everything, bro. This is the FGC. We grassroots. You say you love the FGC. You say you
about the rawness, the realness.
You want the raw and the realness. Well, come on, bro. We got real passion for it. We love it. So that's what we're gonna bring y'all. So in general, overall, man, I just think that sort of thing is just underrated, and we need to make sure we appreciate all of these amazing content creators that we do have. And I think it's a beautiful thing that the players now are like. Adam streams a lot.
Right. Punk streams a lot. All of them would be
Punk streams. Punk making great YouTube videos. Brian F. One of the leaders. My boy. I think Brian could be. What's his name? Who's the super famous Ludwig? I think Brian F. could be a dude like that one day. Yeah, but imagine how many. Brian F. has a video with 1 million views.
That's wild to me.
From the FGC, it's a Street
Fighter.
How
many people in the FGC have a video with 1 million views?
And straight up, what can that? But now, okay, that video took off like that, right?
What are they doing with it?
And how many people might have seen that? It's 1 million. We don't got the player base, not 1 million, bro.
Yeah.
So if 1 million people seen that, if we get just a few of them to say, "Oh, this is interesting," you would never, ever, almost never, ever, from a match have that happen, where. All of these new people are at least not as frequently. You have your Evo Moments 37s. You have these rare, huge matches that pop off like that. But it's extremely rare where you can drop content every single day, every single week, so on and so forth. So the FGC is definitely not strictly competitive. you know, we should be all working together overall on all fronts. Players are always going to be extremely important, so do not think that I'm trying to downplay that. I am a player myself, you know, but for sure there does seem to be a bit of a disconnect there, and I hope that the FGC can shore that up sooner than later.